Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Hoops Prospects interview. Today, we will be talking to South Dakota's Tyler Hagedorn, who led the nation in three-point percentage among those with at least 140 attempts this past season. Tyler made 51.4% of his threes, shot 82% from the free throw line, and was ninth in Division I with a true shooting percentage of 68.1. He was a first-team All-Summit selection, averaged 18.1 points, 6.9 rebounds, and led the league in plus-minus and offensive rating. He ranked second in win shares, and fourth in August, Tyler signed with Buducnost, which is the premier team in the Montenegrin Basketball League, which also competes in the Adriatic League and the EuroCup. Welcome, Tyler.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So we're just going to alternate questions at you, and
Sure.
we really do appreciate you taking some time out to chat with us today. I'm going to ask you the first one. Tyler, William & Mary's Andy Van Fleet was the only Division I player taller than 6'9" to have more three-point attempts than you did this past season. He's a European born in Belgium. As a domestic American player, how did you develop what is somewhat of a unique playing style from a domestic standpoint, being in a 6'10" elite shooter, basically?
Definitely. So just like you said, the pick and pop game is definitely kind of a European thing. But for my type of game, over time, it just became honestly one of the number one things that I do. I can still roll on ball screens, obviously, but whether it was my player development coaches, my trainers, the different staffs I had in college and high school, picking and popping has just always been a thing for me because, I have some size, obviously, but I definitely feel like I'm a little bit of a guard in a big's body, and that is just a way for me to hurt the defense, obviously, with some different guys that are guarding me and their size and speed. I feel like picking and popping is just really a big-time threat in just multiple different ways offensively.
I appreciate that answer. Just as a quick follow-up, was that also the kind of your player profile coming out of high school as well, or did that dramatically develop in college?
Yeah, I mean, you guys know, high school is a little different than college, of course. High school, I was almost a point guard, doing all sorts of stuff. That's kind of how it works. I definitely would say picking and popping the way I did it in college was definitely developed a lot. Honestly, I was coming off ball screens sometimes more often than I was setting ball screens. Definitely developed that a lot in college for sure.
Hey, Tyler, you averaged 4.4 3-point attempt per game this season, and officially you didn't lead the NCAA in three-point percentage. You needed to average about one more per game. Given how well you shoot, was the relatively low volume of threes, and I say that low volume based on how well you did, shooting over 50%. Was that more of a product of Coach Lee's system, prioritizing efficiency, or was that a result of playing at the 5, or was it something else?
Definitely. I don't know the statistics on this, but I definitely shot less threes the second half of the season. And definitely, I remember specifically the second half of the conference season, which is just obviously a result of teams guarding me differently. Definitely early in the season and even the first half of conference play, I was able to get some separation on pick and pops. Guys were showing on ball screen, hedging on ball screens, things like that. And once, you start being as efficient as I was, they weren't leaving me on ball screens. I had a guy within arm's length of me at all times. We just tried using me in different ways to help my teammates get in opportunities to score like I said, it's a little bit of a result of that, as well as I'm just, big in shot selection, especially my assistant coach, Brad Davidson, that's like his number one thing is shot selection. And so I think that was a big goal of ours this season, was just trying to get the best shot we could every possession.
And I assume the matchups played into that well. It seems like if you were on the perimeter and you had a guy that was significantly smaller than you, you'd take him down low if you could, and just basically working for the best shot available. Is that an accurate observation?
Yeah, that's one thing that's definitely a part of my game. Offensively, it's just having the ability to score on anyone that's guarding me, and when you have a guard on me, or a guy that's pretty quick, and they switch ball screens or whatever else, I definitely won't be able to get a lot of room off of pick and pops anyways, which is what I was obviously most efficient at. Obviously, I was able to get some threes off in different situations. But yes, that is kind of a result of that. Yep.
Awesome. So clearly, I mean, your most unique and special skill is an elite, efficient shooter and a floor spacer. What other aspects of your overall game do you think will transfer pretty well to the professional level? And also, are there any maybe less featured parts of your game that maybe we didn't see as much in college that might reveal themselves a little bit more as you go to the pro level?
Sure, definitely. I would say, my basketball IQ, I think, is definitely one of the things I've had for a long time, obviously. And I definitely think that's something that's going to keep me playing really good basketball for hopefully a long time, and is definitely one of my biggest strengths. My guard mindset, kind of in a big body, and my versatility to score against a lot of different defenders is another strength for sure. And then, I've always said this, and my dad probably still to this day thinks that my number one strength is my passing. And I've said this before to different people, but I don't think I got to quite showcase that a whole lot at USD. And I think I actually, like I was kind of saying before, is I was a little bit more of a point guard and had the ball in my hands a lot more in high school. And then obviously in college, when you're playing the center, you don't have the ball in your hands as often, anyways. And so I definitely think passing is one of those things, and especially overseas basketball, bigs have the ball in their hands often and are making a lot of passes. And I'm already noticing that now. And so I think that asset, or that skill, is going to be able to translate really well, especially with this type of basketball over here.
You played against some really good players in college. Tyson Ward, North Dakota State, Jonah Rodenbaugh, who you got a chance to talk to earlier this summer as well, who's now in Europe. Isaiah Stewart, Jaden McDaniels, Isaiah Joe, Mason Jones, just to name a few. Is there one that sticks out in your mind as maybe the toughest individual matchup? And then with that, how does it compare from a competition level to what you're seeing now?
Definitely. Isaiah Stewart was definitely a tough matchup. He's just so physical. He's huge, and that's just, that's probably his biggest asset, or his biggest strength, is just his motor. He's just nonstop going. But yeah, that was, those were just some names from this year. It's actually, my list is pretty crazy. I played Duke and UCLA, TCU, different schools. And so, yeah, I've played against a lot of guys, a lot of first round draft picks and whatnot. So I guess, definitely the most recent one, Isaiah Stewart, is, with that, he definitely was probably one of the hardest ones I played against. And then just, the physicality is just different. Mid-major basketball isn't super physical, and Washington basketball is obviously, higher than that. And so he was very physical, and they were very physical. And over here is very physical. It's professional basketball, obviously, and guys are getting after it over here.
Awesome.
Tyler, we haven't seen a lot of Summit League players in the NBA. I think George Hill is the most famous that I know of. However, South Dakota's Mike South Dakota State, excuse me, who you know and has a similar game, had a fine rookie season in Spain last year, which was one of the top leagues in Europe. At the same time, there's been a ton of talk this season about players increasing their draft stock by being willing to play in Europe for a couple of years. What went into your decision to go to Europe before the draft, and have you heard from any NBA teams?
Yep. So, originally I was actually thinking about doing the G League route, but with the whole pandemic and everything that's going on, I decided that this was actually going to be my best option. I think I finished with 5 interviews with NBA teams and G League teams. And I know I was getting some interest there, and I'm sure that I would have been picked up by a G League team and hopefully a summer league team, which I'm hoping to play on this summer. But yes, definitely had some interest there. And like I said, that was originally what I was planning on doing. But with this whole pandemic, I realized for me, kind of like you just said, is that a few years over here in my development is really my biggest goal and mindset moving forward these next couple of years, just to try to get to the highest level of basketball I can play individually, so I can obviously play the highest level of basketball possible. And so, with that, and obviously now seeing what happened, I'm actually very happy with my decision, because the G League season doesn't look like it's going to be starting till January, and our season's already begun and things like that. And so it's the development part is what I'm really focused on now. And like you said, not a lot of some of the guys in the NBA, and that's just obviously my number one goal is to get there someday.
That leads in pretty perfectly. We want to talk a little bit about your time in Montenegro so far. Obviously you're in a foreign country, you're playing for a professional basketball team. I imagine it is certainly somewhat of an adjustment, even though obviously basketball is the same sport everywhere. But what are some of your biggest challenges in the short time you've faced on and off the court?
Definitely. I guess we'll start with on the court. I think I have a really good at basketball IQ, very versatile in that sense. But, people have told me before I came over here that basketball over here is different and blah, blah. I even played with some different – basketball is different over here, just to justify that. The way the game is played, the way the officials call it, it's actually a little bit hard to explain. But overall, the basketball over here is very much smarter basketball and less alley-oops, dunking. The number one thing is they love smart basketball, and they love making the right plays rather than one guy going off and making one spectacular play or things, you know what I mean? So that overall basketball-wise was definitely an adjustment, in that sense. And like I said, just the European basketball in general is different, and the balls are different. We play 2 different leagues and the balls are different. So overall, just, the language barrier in playing basketball, it can be tough sometimes. And then, like I said, just overall, the change in style of basketball was definitely a little bit of a change. And then, living here, it's not crazy different. It's been a great experience so far. I think this country is awesome. I've been to Spain before, and I think Spain was great. And so, the food is amazing. People are great. The language barrier is always going to get you no matter where you're at. And so that's always a struggle, but, all my teammates speak it pretty well. And, I have a few teammates that are American anyways. And so overall, in that sense, the adjustment has been just fine.
Hey, Tyler, at South Dakota, you primarily played the center position because you're one of the few players on your team with, good size. Where do they have you playing now? And are there any certain aspects of your game that they're asking you to specifically work on?
So you know how it works. They recruited me here. It's kind of like college a little bit. They talked to me and they watched my game a lot, and obviously liked a lot of things I do. So for the most part, they're not really asking anything to do anything that's that I've never done before. They've asked me to play basketball like I know how to play, obviously with their style and their twist on it. Obviously, like I said, it's a little bit different. So for the most part, I'm just trying to do the same thing I've always been doing, just work on my physicality. I know that's definitely one of my weaknesses, is getting a little bit stronger to be able to bang with some of the guys over here. And then when it comes to the position, I'm playing more primarily the 4 than the 5 position over here. Obviously, this is professional basketball, and dudes are not small over here. I mean, my team, our average height was probably 6'4" maybe at South Dakota. Average height over here, we're talking 6'6", 6'7". I mean, we got a lot of tall dudes on the team and big physical guys on the team. And so I've been playing more primarily of the 4.
And when I've watched, European ball, there's a lot of post play. Are they still? Do they have you? Do you foresee yourself playing in the post, or I mean, you played a significant amount in the post at South Dakota. I guess what I'm asking is, are you going to? I assume, but with you moving to the 4, that you'll be more on the perimeter.
Yeah, a little bit more on the perimeter, definitely, but they post up 1 through 5 over here, actually. Like I was kind of saying, they love smart basketball, and they love mismatch. Whether you're 1 through 5, whoever's got the mismatch, they want to get them the ball in the post or in a one-on-one situation or something like that and get them the ball. And so anytime I have a guy that I'm, bigger than or taller than or whatever, straight to the post and get me the ball, and that's the same for anyone on my team. And so post play is, like you were saying, is definitely big over here.
In terms of kind of just your role within the team, playing time and stuff like that, do you assume kind of just as you get more familiar with the system, and I mean obviously you haven't been there that long yet, so what do you think just needs to happen for you to kind of continue to grow your role, and is that tough? Because I mean you're an all-summit league guy, you're used to being one of the best players on the court all the time, so how do you adjust to that, and where do you think that goes?
Definitely, so right now I'm kind of swapping between 2 teams, their top team and their second division team. Their top team, as you guys, I saw you guys' tweet, has some big time dudes. They got Melvin Ejim, Big 12 Player of the Year. He's been playing for years. Willie Reed in the NBA, Rashad Vaughn, Justin. I mean, they've got dudes, and then and then obviously Fletcher. But Fletcher and I actually are kind of swapping between both teams right now, because would they really want to develop us, because we both signed multi-year deals, and so there's obviously the potential of us being here for more than 1 or 2 years or whatever. And so, yeah, for right now, definitely we're being more focused on playing with the second team to develop, so we can play, obviously, on that top team that has, like I said, just some really big time players.
You mentioned a lot of Americans on your team. One guy you didn't mention, who's been a star over there for quite some time, Justin Cobbs, and of course Fletcher, who's the all-time leader, NCAA leader in three-pointers made. So I think there's at least 6 Americans on the team. Is that correct?
Yep. Yes. Yep.
And so this is a personal question, and I hope it's not too personal, but have you made friends with anyone specifically you hang out with?
Definitely. Fletcher and I, we're hand in hand. We hang out every day. We go to practice together every day and stuff like that. So definitely Fletcher and I. And then Melvin. I talked to Melvin, the very first day that this team had interest in me, and we've been keeping up ever since. And as I don't know if you guys have kept up with the team at all, but he's been killing it for them. And then I've also talked to Justin Cobbs a little bit, but Willie Reed just got here not too long ago. So you definitely, mainly Melvin, who's, 7-year pro now. And then obviously Fletcher and I hang out a lot. So.
A follow-up about Willie. Have you, I know we just got there, but have you had a chance to talk to him about the NBA and in any way?
No, not yet. He literally got here less than 3 weeks ago, or whatever, something like that. And I've seen him in the training room a couple times, and we've had some really brief conversations. But but no, we haven't talked about the NBA. But obviously, you can see by his game he's definitely an NBA type caliber player, and his game definitely can translate to any type of basketball in the world. That's for sure.
Thanks. I really appreciate your time, and it was fun talking to you, and we wish you luck. We'll definitely be watching your career, and stay in touch.
Yeah, no, thanks for doing this, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for your time, Tyler. Really appreciate it.
Yep, no problem.